Champions, welcome back to the Paladins Invitational here at Hi-Rez Expo of 2017, presented to you by Twitch Prime. My name is Vox, joined by Hi-Rez Pretty Hair for day 2 of the group stage action for Group B. It is fantastic to be back here. We saw some fantastic games yesterday, and are you excited, or are you as excited as I am for today's sets?
I am. Believe it or not, I actually think this group is going to be a little bit closer, a little bit tighter competition. Like we said yesterday, it was an absolute light show.
It certainly was, especially in that final set. But before we get back into the meat of it, before we take you through to the schedule, let's take a look at what we are giving back to you viewers at home. Of course, our title sponsor for this event is Twitch Prime, and we now have Twitch linking enabled for the Paladins game channel. All you have to do to have a chance at winning some in-game loot just by watching the stream is visit hirezstudios.com/link to link your Twitch and your Hi-Rez accounts. That's right, you can win loot just by watching.
Yeah, just hanging out. It's free stuff. Make sure to get this done at the start of the day as opposed to the end of the day, because the longer you're sitting in chat with those links, the greater your chances will be to receive that loot. But that's not all we got going on.
No, it's not all. Well, it certainly isn't. To commemorate this event, we do have a Paladins loot pack, a Hi-Rez Invitational, Hi-Rez Expo loot pack available to you in-game, in the in-game store. It's got a few different invitational themed things. We've got some skins for Victor and Fernando, which are limited time only, commemorating this event. We also have the Convention 2017 Ying skin, a couple of MVP poses for Victor and Fernando if you want to look snazzy on the battlefield, and also some sprays to boot.
All sorts of good stuff. Make sure you get in now. That will be gone. That's just for the event, and that really just shows your support. When you throw down that invitational spray a couple years from now, everyone knows that you're an OG.
Now, we are into day 2 of the competition. Group B is coming up next, but for those of you who haven't caught up with the action from yesterday, let's take a look at how Group A went in day number 1.
You can see the standings there over on the left side of your screen. District 69 making it out of the group clean, perfect, unscathed, but that was a narrow escape they made over Match Point. Match Point, the only one able to take a game, the only non-sweep we had all day.
No, the rest of it was just 3-0 shutouts that final set. But as you can see, District 69 started off the day very strong, 3-0 over Team QG. Black Dragons, however, were beaten out by Team QG and were the only team to go home without a single victory. They did get themselves on the board, however, versus District 69, so they were proving that they did actually fare with a better chance than Team QG did, but that was later on during the day. Matchpoint came out strong versus Black Dragons, but then continuing on with the rest of the day, 6 matches in total in this round-robin format. Matchpoint continued in their doubleheader to take a 3-0 victory over Team QG.
District 69 taking the 3-0 over Black Dragons. Some hype moments in that set, though. Black Dragons did score a point on D69. The crowd went wild there, and then the big title fight of the evening was D69 versus Matchpoint. All of those games we're fairly close, 4-2 in the first 2 games. Match Point coming back in game number 3 by a narrow margin to get themselves to a game 4 scenario. That was tight. It was on ice mines. That's where it all came down to.
Oh, and that's a very difficult map to close things out on. But up on your screens now is Friday's group play for Group B, and we're kicking things off with Team Eager versus Abyss, and then continuing through the schedule, we're going to see how everything will pan out.
Yep, Abyss will have the doubleheader. First up, against Eager, as Vox mentioned, then against Nocturnes Gaming. Now Nocturnes, a team that qualified first out of Brazil. They will be handed off to for the doubleheader against Burrito, widely considered the best team in the world perhaps now. They have the #1 seed out of Europe.
They do have an impeccable, an immaculate online record, but well, the last time that this team, or at least the 3 core members, was in a LAN environment, they did crumble before District 69. We'll have to see how they perform today, or if the LAN jitters come back to haunt them, as in the second half of today's group play, Burrito will face up against Abyss, followed by Team Eager versus Nocturnes Gaming, and then the North American versus European closing set of Burrito versus Eager. Like yesterday with District 69 versus Matchpoint, a set which has a lot of weight and regional pride behind it as well.
Yep, and you know, this matchup went against the seeding yesterday. The #2 seeded European team able to find the win over the #1 seeded North American team, so we'll see if Team Eager can compete, but that will be much later in the day. Team Eager gonna get their feet wet here against Abyss. Now, taking a look at all the international matchups from yesterday and today, my own personal opinion tells me that if we're going to see an international upset, you know, seeding is going to tell us that it's going to be here.
Certainly, Team Eager have been struggling versus Matchpoint, but they haven't faced Abyss in quite some time except on very high ping scrims. Abyss are looking fantastic, however. Now they have been scrimming in North America for just a little while. They've been getting used to some of the other competitive matters from out of region, and they are a team which has a lot of LAN experience behind them, so they're very calm, collected, and ready to perform in this environment. They're going to come out of the gate swinging, and if they manage to upset Eager here, it'll really set the scene for how the rest of today is going to go.
And we're ready to get over to the map draft between these two teams, and I think that's the big key point. Abyss, like you mentioned, a lot of LAN experience across multiple games here, so a very LAN veteran team. They don't look nervous whatsoever. Eager looking strong through the online stages. You know, they always show up to play. That's kind of the theme. Even if we lose, we want to make progress, and this is a team that has no LAN experience.
No, but they have made some recent roster adjustments for the last couple of weeks of competitive online play as well. Notably, one of their members, Kami, who is a very popular streamer, actually dropping down to the substitute role, filling more of that streamer role, looking to go into more YouTube and Twitch and education for the Paladins community, which is fantastic. Still here today, however, representing the team. And Team Eager will be very thankful for their support. You may be able to hear some cheers from the crowd at some point, which the one or two people out there who noticed that cue. Otherwise, though, let's take a look at the maps coming up today. The draft is ready for us. What maps have been banned out by both teams, starting off with Eager?
Eager do not want to see Frog Isle. Abyss don't want to see Ice Mines, and that's kind of an interesting choice because, you know, they are largely regarded as the underdogs. However, I expect this matchup to be close, and Ice Mines is a map that tends to favor underdogs because it does almost force that 3-3 scenario where it all comes down, where they just need to find the one good team fight to take the capture.
So the first map coming up will be Frozen Guard, a bit of a far cry from the Serpent Beach, which we've seen so often in that first pick. However, the champion draft is now ready. Abyss have first pick. We saw a lot of Makoa as our opening yesterday, but they're going straight towards Fernando instead.
The hover and the lock almost immediately. Frozen Guard. Fernando having a big impact. Ward Doom playing that interestingly, I guess would be a good word for it. Taking the hide and seek was kind of how we coined it. Eager going to hover and lock the double frontliner. It would appear as Ruckus. He's going to come in right after Makoa. Ruckus, we talked yesterday as we were having kind of our wrap-up meeting. Ruckus picked in every game except one,
which is relatively unbelievable. Speaking of unbelievable play, the player from District 69 filling in the substitute role instead of the team captain, Bugsy, performed fantastically on Ruckus yesterday, demonstrating how scary of a pick they can be in a coordinated team. But Abyss, now I would have expected them here, take the healing and sustain away from the Makoa and the Ruckus, but instead we've got Charlene and Eevee. Drafting these two together, I think, is quite effective because we saw Charlene played as a very effective counter Eevee yesterday, so opening the door for the Winter Witch. However, Team Eager do respond.
Yeah, and quite frankly, Ruckus with the repulsor field was giving Eevee a lot of trouble, mitigating so much of what she was looking to do. Cassie Maldamba, a very, very strong answer. Kinessa hovered and locked for the first time at the Hi-Rez Expo Invitational as well as Grover.
We've got a Grover pick coming out. We've got...
Get the pun out of your system. Where is it? Come on.
It's coming. No, I'm going to hold you to that. The anticipation will be building, and I cannot wait for this. I love the draft which Abyss have pulled out so far. They've effectively got 3 snipers on their team with Grover's bonus damage over distance on his throwing axes. Team Eager, they need some sort of flank pressure to try and shut down Kinessa, shut down Charlene. Team Eager draft Buck as their final pick, but is it going to be enough when we have the responsive healing coming out of Grover, maybe sitting on the back line trying to deal out damage?
This is going to be interesting. Abyss look like this composition and just going to just want to sit back and pick Eager apart from a distance, win the team fight without having to touch the point and just kind of move in afterward. We'll go ahead and quit the speculating here as we're ready to get into game. Team Eager versus Abyss Fox. Who do you like on paper?
Ooh, on paper, honestly, I've got to give it to the team with Grover. We didn't see them perform that well yesterday in the grand scheme of things, but when it is pulled out by a successful team, it is fantastic. So Abyss The team on the left-hand side of your screen, let's introduce the players for the first time today. joshkent will be playing Joelz on Knessa, Haydz on Fernando, Alston on Grover, and Kronicx will be playing Shaolin.
Eager will have Wi-Fi on Makoa, shadeeyShades on Buck, Z1 Unknown on Cassie, Awry on Maldamba, and Coach Bitey on Ruckus.
And here comes a flank. Makoa looking for a drag dragon to start things up. Fernando is pulled in, but their shield goes immediately up. Kept safe. Shell shield drop by Makoa as well. A lot of damage now being traded out. Ruckus advances into danger, takes 2 shots from Knessa, falls for first blood. Bitey goes down. Abyss, they're in control of this.
Just a big positioning whoopsie-daisy, I think, from Bitey there. He took 2 shots, fully charged from Knessa, 2,600 damage. Eager are going to have to be very careful about how they position themselves. They don't want to give up too much line of sight to this Knessa. shadeeyShades doing a great job making the adjustment on the Buck to shut that down before it gets too far off the ground. Bitey the first one to return to the point.
But Bitey is alone. Ruckus is not a solo tank that you want to be running around with. They're taking way too much poke from Shaolin. Joelz is back on Knessa looking for that line of sight, and still Abyss. They're holding down the objective 66%, and it will be climbing. The point fight is breaking out, and the kill feed is going to be all blue.
Positioning going to be key here. They're letting the Shaolin in the backline. There's a nice stun. Withdraw comes out. Planet is on cooldown. Likely to lose this trade. Awry gets it done.
But still, up and climbing. The percentage is rising. 90%, 93. Somebody from Eager has to make a move. Oh, the headshot comes through from Joelz, and that's the objective captured. Abyss take an early lead, and Team Eager just not showing up so far in game 1.
So a great job there in the first team fight for Abyss to play to their strengths, using the line of sights, but a great job as well in the second team fight. That's where it's going to count, when Eager are coming back to the point, when the positioning isn't there, when it's a close quarter fight. Abyss create some space, get into the backline. Kronicx had a good look, but just overall, great job playing to strength by Abyss.
Now the payload is advancing. Fernando will be spearheading the fight. Shield in hand, just looking to drop off line of sight. Headhunter used by Knessa to quickly shut down the Ruckus. Body drops again. Hey, it takes out Wi-Fi. joshkent with the Ice Storm in hands cripples shadeeyShades, and that's such an effective shutdown on the hypermobile Buck. joshkent picks up a double kill. Abyss are looking like they are on a rampage here.
I'm going to steal F.Dot's line. The thunder from down under here. Abyss are looking strong. They're coming down to the wire here. Very close to conversion. Eager need to find a response, and now
somebody has to contest. It will be Ruckus. Repulsive field is active. Grover will be diving around the outside, playing more of an assassin than anything else. Whirlwind is available, but not utilized there. Z1 Unknown takes out Joelz, and it looks like Eager might have the opportunity to hold, but not if joshkent has anything to say about it. 3 kills, double kill at the end, 4 in total. The Winter Witch shuts Eager down. My goodness.
And super effective, this Eevee in her element. Top of the net worth chart. 13 streak for joshkent, the leader. The mustache himself is dominating right now.
I love that. And as we do get into the second capture round, you can see joshkent leading the damage charts on Eevee, 28,000 already, but still followed up with Knessa and Shaolin. It's all blue up here. Eager, they're not getting anything done.
Yeah, this composition from Abyss, I think, does fall off a little bit late game. Very Haven heavy, so when Eager does get those Haven 2s, Haven 3s online, Joelz was having a really strong impact on Knessa, but she does start to fall off once that mitigation comes with those 1,300 damage full charge shots just aren't going to be there anymore.
But Eevee's damage will remain unmitigated. Still, Eager only have 3 Havens online so far, but we'll come back to that later as joshkent is looking for the opportunity to kick things off with an early assassination. Eager stack up with the objective, and Hexafire comes out. Will this turn the tide in their favor?
Again, Bitey goes down. He dumped all that Hexafire straight into the Fernando shield. Great job. The line of sights are here. shadeeyShades needs to get to this backline sooner.
Shady did pick up one. They took out Kronicx with Buck Wild, but they've been crippled by Grover. The tree comes in with a vengeance, and Abyss, despite Eager's early control, take advantage of the overextension coming from Eager and are now climbing upwards of 50% on the objective.
Here's the zone. Here is what the other international teams were lacking. joshkent not afraid to move out against Eager. Needs to get some of these dismounts. Eager taking their time with this one. They're putting themselves in a bit of a rough spot. They're pretty disjointed right now. 3-2 split. 2 currently on the point. joshkent mixing it up, making it tough for Eager to beat S5.
But still on the objective. Wi-Fi is holding things down. Ancient Rage, anchor in hand, is trying to take out any opponent, but is getting kited all around and gets shut down. Z1 Unknown, can they make things happen? They take out joshkent, one of the primary carries from Abyss, does fall, but the shield is in their way, and Shaolin is pummeling them into the ground.
Kronicx taking out Bitey. Joelz combining as well. 93 on the point for Abyss, and they clean up Eager, going up 3-0, having the chance to sweep game number 1, and just flawless team fighting coming out from Abyss right now, spreading Eager out, not letting them play to their strengths. Abyss really wiping the floor with them right now.
They certainly are. It's like we're playing in a broom closet with the amount of sweeping going on currently. Look at the shots coming out of Joelz as well. These aren't just dismount shots from Knessa. These are fully charged 1300 damage impact shots, which keep on dropping damage, provide so much zone pressure. And look at the angles which they're holding. Alston on Grover, though, takes out Z1 Unknown. That's a little bit strange for Cassie to fall to the tree.
Still split up, though. Our Eager, you see this 2v5 in the backline right now. Wi-Fi is going to go down. Kronicx takes him out. shadeeyShades trickles in, dies. Bitey's still in the backline. He's going to be cleaned up easily as well. Abyss are working together as a unit, impenetrable. joshkent in the backline, you can see splitting up the support from the rest of Eager right now.
And comparatively, Nick, I've got to ask you, where is Eager's cohesion? They're a team that should play as a unit. They're a team that should play so well together based on their online performance, but they're so split up. They're falling one by one. Ruckus, nowhere near the objective, can't use Repulsor Field here, and everybody is going to get shut down. Hexafire might turn the tide. Can Z1 Unknown do it as well, as Ruckus does survive momentarily?
There's the Ice Storm coming out, crippling Bitey, locking him down in place. 2 Hexafires largely just off the mark. Backpedals into the Ice Storm, but joshkent taking it slow, taking it steady. A lot of his team has already fallen. He will fall as well. A minute still on the timer for Abyss. This Fernando just needs to back up. Just get to your team. Don't worry about anything else. Charging out, wise decision here from Haydz.
But will still fall as the final shell in the shotgun takes down Fernando. This means that Abyss are waiting on a very long respawn. 2 respawns now as Alston on Grover falls as well. Eager, they have managed to stabilize. If they can keep these respawns staggered for the side of Abyss, they have the opportunity to defend, get a point on the scoreboard for 3-1, and come back in and maybe start to turn the tide of battle.
Abyss have 30 seconds. Nice impale into the wall. Cleaned up is Z1 Unknown. That's a big pick for Abyss. joshkent mixing things up in the backline with shadeeyShades. Shadey needs to get out of this heroic lead. We'll keep him safe for now, but no, Joelz pins him to the wall as he tries to break around the corner.
Mopped up, taken down, and one thing we've noticed so far is the Dredge Anchor finally connects from Wi-Fi. The Makoa's Dredge Anchor ability that is so important for setup has been missing again and again, and it allows Abyss to have way too much safety for their backline. Buck will have to contest here. shadeeyShades goes in, but he's nowhere near the objective. Who's going to stand on it? Abyss just pushed the payload through. Complete lack of objective mindset. Foul misplay from Eager there at the end.
Abyss. shadeeyShades not able to have the awareness to get on the payload. I don't know if it was Eager that was just not playing together, or it was Abyss that was just doing such a great job at splitting them apart. Like we mentioned, the international teams were having trouble with the zone, but joshkent on this Eevee is not afraid to get into the backline and mix it up against the odds.
And they have to in a situation like that. You've got 2 effectively sniper champions on your team with Knessa and Charlene that are vulnerable to the buck pressure, so you've got to put pressure on the other side. You can't just sit back and defend with a champion like Eevee. You got to mix things up a little as well, and that's exactly what the man with the mustache did so magnificently. Great use of Ice Storm as well to lock down both Buck and Ruckus, and that cripple can be so important in a fight.
Absolutely, and a couple of, frankly, missed Hexafires from Bitey. One got dumped entirely into a Fernando shield who was alone, and the second one there, right before that Ice Storm came out, like you mentioned, was hitting nothing. joshkent was sitting comfortably in that ice block, ready to just mitigate all of that damage. We'll head on over to the score screen to break down just a little bit more how this went. You can see Haydz 157 on the objective time. Eager struggling to get anyone on the objective time, just over 30 seconds for Bitey.
Which is so shocking because Eager drafted the Ruckus, Makoa, and Maldamba trifecta, which at least the European teams have been preaching as a win condition for them. You say, we get this draft, we win. We just pick some damage around the outside, and looking at some of the stats, it does appear that a lot of damage was missing from Eager. Kronicx, for example, on the side of Abyss, sitting at 67k, almost doubling, in fact, pretty much doubling everybody's damage from Eager. They just didn't have the offensive pressure here.
58,000 for Joelz on Knessa, 52,000 for joshkent. I mean, even Haydz sitting at 27,000 was rivaling Z1 Unknown and shadeeyShades within 5,000 of all of the big heavy hitters from Eager. They're just going to need more of that, and you know, Abyss did such a great job drafting a comp and playing to its strengths. You know, Eager had all of the front line potential there to hold the point zone, but Abyss was totally comfortable just giving up some initial capture point progress to fight at range where they're strongest and then move in for the kill once Eager was softened up.
Before we do transition through, one thing I do just want to raise your attention to is look at Eager's solo kills, a lot of them on the board. Abyss, however, have 3 members with 0 all working as a team, so Eager, that lack of cohesion is really starting to hurt them. Regardless though, that was only game 1. We're in a best of 5 set, and as a result we need a new map for game 2. It's going to be Jaguar Falls.
Yep, and this is similar point zone to Frozen Guard in terms of it's tight, there are flank routes immediately surrounding it, but it does not have the long line of sights that we saw Abyss use very well in game number 1 on Frozen Guard, so that's not going to be so much of an option here. The Kinessa not likely to come out on this map. Shaolin, I think, still works fine because there are so many walls, there are so many angles. Options for Impale are definitely going to be there.
That's certainly valuable, as will be Eevee's presence if Joshkent manages to pick them up again. Blink into the backline over certain walls in Jaguar Falls is very valuable. You come out of nowhere from the skies, dropping down death from above almost as well, or even better potentially, than Androxus currently. So we've got a few different draft options, but let's talk about Team Eager for the time being. They drafted very strong frontline that game and seem to be lacking in damage or kill potential onto the all-important long line of sight backline damage dealers from Abyss. How do they rectify this in game 2?
I mean, Z1 Unknown, extremely quiet on the Cassie. I expect him to try and get this Eevee this game because joshkent was playing lights out on it. So not only would it be good to take away from Abyss, but I think it will strengthen Eager's comp as well. I think they can play it very well.
And that's an interesting remark you make right there, because of course we don't have champion bans in Paladins. If you want to take a champion away from the enemy team, you've got to draft it before they do, and therefore the high priority pick like Eevee, well, you've got to have an Eevee player on your team, and as you said, Z1 Unknown has a good reputation in online play for Eevee at least.
And I just kind of want to highlight the dynamic that I'm seeing from Eager right now. Everyone looking to Bitey. Bitey is, you know, for all intents and purposes, the leader of this team, the coach. He does most of the drafting, telling people what to play. So a lot kind of rides on him and his mental state. He seemed like he was getting a little bit frustrated, throwing some hands up in the air during game number 1 here. He needs to stay strong or Eager could crumble. If they're able to tilt Bitey, the rest of Eager, I think, will fall with him.
And I do feel like part of that could be helped by Bitey maybe adopting a slightly different playstyle. Eager seemed to come into game number 1 very confident, very strong, overextending in places, which opened them up to taking a lot of direct damage coming in from Kinessa. Notably, Bitey advancing round cover at the very beginning of the game, taking 2 1300
Agreed.
damage full charge shots. It's a bit of an overextension there. Play back, play to your defensive capabilities rather than your offensive capabilities potentially, and look to take this one step by step by step.
That was the exact moment that you just mentioned that I was questioning as well. When he advanced out from cover and started taking pressure, he was by himself. He didn't have Maldamba with him. It was not a smart move. He was falling there shortly thereafter, but Abyss, I like to see where their draft goes from here because we haven't seen a ton. We know kind of how Eager likes to draft as well. Can these guys flex onto shorter range point fight types of comp? We'll have to see as we get into the champion draft for game number 2 between Team Eager and Abyss. Abyss leading 1-0.
So Abyss, they're sitting on first pick again. Now we have to ask ourselves the question, do you draft Fernando here, which worked out relatively well last game, or do you go for your priority pick of Eevee and just give it straight up to joshkent? I'm inclined to say the latter, because Eager might try and strip that away from Abyss, potentially. Nope, it is Team Eager with the first pick, it does appear, and therefore maybe it's the other way around. Do you pick Eevee first to take it away from joshkent and give that to Z1 Unknown?
They take McCullough though, and frankly, it just didn't have that much of an impact, I feel, in the
a lot of
previous
misread
game.
jankers.
Definitely. And maybe that's due to the long lines of sights. Abyss won't be able to operate from as far away on Jaguar Falls as they were. They were totally safe in terms of their positioning, and it was basically flawless from my point of view, but that's just not going to be the case on this map.
Now their draft is reflecting this more compact map, however, picking Fernando and Ruckus for double frontline first. Abyss looking to utilize the Goblin and his mech a little bit better than Team Eager did previously. Team Eager, however, they pulled out a Shaolin and Cassie in response. Shaolin so pivotal so far in this this LAN tournament relative to online play, where he seems to be a less popular pick. definitely something which Team Eager could find valuable.
A lot of line of sight blockers, a lot of walls, a lot of impale options for this Shaolin. And this is going to follow up well with a Dredge Anchor. That's a lot of CC lockdown. Just in those 3 champions already drafted, Dredge Anchor into impale, into disengage is just going to juggle somebody for so long.
Abyss, however, on the right-hand side of your screen have locked in EV for joshkent. They also have elected to go into Maldamba, so they have a lot of sustain available to them. No Grover pick this time, no long lines of sight to really capitalize on the bonus damage coming through from your throwing axes. Team Eager, however, now they've drafted Androxus and Ying, but let's talk about Andro briefly here, because we know that there is one player who really brought Androxus to the forefront of competitive play way back when, and they go by the name of Z1 Unknown.
Yeah, and that's going to be a tall task, I think, for Abyss, picking Victor into this famous Androxus. So an opportunity here, I think, for him to step up. Another big thing to watch out for is Repulsor Field cooldown management against Androxus, kind of trying to see when, because it's sort of a telegraphed ult, unless Z1 Unknown can find a nice flank. When he, nether stepping straight up into the air, you can kind of get an idea when you think a Cursed Arm is going to be coming through. Repulsor Field is so important now to try and help mitigate that across all 5 members of Abyss, especially onto that Victor.
And Ruckus's Repulsor Field ability, for those of you just joining us for the first time, is something which we'll talk about a lot today, because it's such an important ability to use in team fights. When you're near an objective, you can activate it to provide a reduction shield for your team. You take 50% less damage for a limited period of time, which is so pivotal when reducing damage from big team fight ultimates like Z1 Unknown on the blue corner, playing Androxus now. Followed up by shadeeyShades on Cassie. Awry will be taking Ying. Wi-Fi still on the Koa, but Bitey this time on Shaolin for Team Eager.
Paladins fans, make some noise for Abyss, coming in, making a statement here, up 1-0 on Eager. Haydz on Fernando, Alston on Maldamba, Kronicx on Ruckus, joshkent on Eevee, and Joelz running that Victor. All defensive options except one from Abyss right out of the gate for Havens.
Straight off to the sundial room we go. No, a quick turnaround from Z1 Unknown as they spot out Eevee, get a couple of poke shots off, and joshkent will be fleeing away. Now we see the Ruckus trying to get towards the objective behind Fernando's shield, keeping them safe. A lot of poke shots coming through from joshkent as well, but still no kills. At 1 minute and 15, the first blood from Z1 Unknown as they find a huge reversal onto Eevee.
Slow and steady, big reversal. The Wi-Fi with a nice dredge anchor. Z1 Unknown falling low, but the return planted from Bitey cleans up Haydz. shadeeyShades finds Joelz rolling in now on this Ruckus. He's going to be all but cleaned up. A nice initial team fight out of Eager. 24% for Abyss. Eager 50 and climbing.
Did you notice that as well? The Impaler arrow from Bitey set up 2 of those kills, almost saving Z1 Unknown in the last engagement. Now being pressured, Bitey will withdraw, but that Impaler arrow precision so far has been so vital to Eager's dominance.
It's just so much burst damage for this Eevee. joshkent gotta watch his step this time. Dredge Anchor's coming through. Bitey's lining up the shot, and he's gonna find it.
Here we go as well. Back to the objective. Ruckus is on. Repulsor Field is active, so Z1 Unknown is just gonna take a step backwards around the corner and regenerate out of combat, but that doesn't stop the damage coming in from Awry. Wi-Fi charges forwards, as does shadeeyShades, looking for the killing spree, stunned down and shut down, but still the rampage continues as Wi-Fi is here to play.
Overtime for Eager. If Abyss cannot hold here, they will lose this first payload capture. The Fernando shield is about to fall. Dredge Anchor is at the ready, pulls the Eevee. joshkent taken down.
This was the Wi-Fi we were looking for last game and so sorely missing. Z1 Unknown cleans up one. Kronicx will respond, but shadeeyShades is back in the mix, back in the fight. Nice disengage, air shot, juggle, forces everybody away from Abyss. Overtime has ticked down. Team Eager, they take the initial capture point control, 1-0 on the scoreboard.
Z1 Unknown was quiet last game, but this time he is letting loose. He is roaring, and Abyss can hear it. That was a great accursed arm. He was, I believe, the first one to have his ultimate online, taken down now by Haydz, but Eager continuing to roll forward here.
shadeeyShades back on Cassie, though, seems to be a bit of a sleeper that we haven't talked about yet, but their precision is working out wonderfully. They've been trying to shut down Eevee so much in midair, catching fantastic disengage air shot juggles from the Hunter's Daughter, and all of the damage that they're able to provide onto immobile targets like Ruckus as well is so crucial to shut shutting down the double frontline pressure and presence from Abyss.
joshkent struggling to have the performance that he did in the last game, largely due to this Makoa just going to blink away from that Ancient Rage. Meanwhile, Ancient Rage getting so much done in the back line. A lot of that eats up what that Hexafire was able to do. Wi-Fi forced to retreat for the time being.
But there are a lot of Ying illusions around, not much Cauterize on the board just yet, and Wi-Fi returns to the fight. Dredges in Ruckus, sets up the kill for Z1 Unknown, and now it's just Fernando Haydz left alone, retreating towards that team because they cannot stand versus all of Eager's pressure.
Perfect accuracy from Z1 Unknown in that last clip here. shadeeyShades rolling in, looking to go in on Abyss.
And that blast shot auto cancel combo works out so well. Z1 Unknown and Awry following up in tandem. joshkent being poked out heavily. This Eevee doesn't know how to deal with an Androxus player this good, and the payload will be advancing. 56 seconds left on the clock.
A little bit of a lull in the action here. shadeeyShades finding another pick. Abyss trying to get out of spawn, but a gold hold from Eager here. We're coming down to the last couple of inches. Dread Serpent comes out to take Z1 Unknown.
Mirage rains down from the sky as well, and this might turn the tide of battle. 2 members down for Team Eager. Respawns coming through shortly, but Bitey is here to get some plays. They impale Joelz, take him out, but no, the front line comes through for Abyss. We are seeing them stabilize. One last shot at conversion for Team Eager.
And that was actually the Heat Haze popped by Bitey. He does not have that available to him anymore. Just 2 ultimates online for Eager. 20 seconds here. You know, if this was match point, I think they would elect to just let this one go. Eager grouping up on the outskirts right now, but I don't know that they want to just throw themselves into this one recklessly.
Well, we're going to be started off on the defense with a kill from joshkent onto Bitey, sitting now at 2-5-1, not having the same impact as last game. They have to make the plays, and it will be the distraction coming out from Eevee that is buying Abyss time to defend here as they're keeping the carries from Eager very, very busy. Defense rolls through, 1-to-1 equalization, ending with a double kill from Haydz on Fernando.
And that's the right play there from joshkent to just keep shadeeyShades on this cast. He's just busy in the back line there. We see it was a 3v4. Man advantage down for Eager right now. Net worth, though, being led by Abyss. They get a big bump in credits for holding that defense. We can see Alston going into deft hands one, so he'll be having more crowd control. Hopefully he can use some of this to counter some of those dredge anchors, some of the follow-up there. Haydz with the Cauterize 2 online already is going to start having an impact on the healing numbers coming out. You see it's neck and neck right now, but both teams with those Cauterize 2s online. It'll be interesting to see what those numbers look like after this round.
And Cauterize works so well with Fernando because it stacks directly the anti-heal with the anti-heal coming from Fernando's Fireball. You use your Flame Lance, you throw that Fireball out. With Cauterize 2, nobody who is hit by that Fireball and your Flame Lance combo will be taking any healing.
Blinking deep into the backline right now, just finding some poke shots. Wi-Fi extremely low already, but Z1 Unknown wants the flank 1v1 here with joshkent. Big reversal again, and it's gonna be good. Z1 Unknown.
Up into the air, a curse is ready. Repulsive field has been activated, but they're being chased down in the backline. Maldamba falls to shadeeyShades, and Z1 Unknown is looking for more. Awry cleans up Haydz. Hexafire's coming in, but it's out of line of sight of most members of Team Eager. Z1 Unknown staying alive, finding the damage alongside shadeeyShades to take back control of this objective from Abyss.
Hexafire came out from Kronicx as well, but that's an ultimate that doesn't tend to find a lot of value if there's no setup behind it. There was no setup this time, so not a lot gets done there. This Victor pickup struggling as well without not a ton of heal from in the back line. Oh, Bitey going into Planet directly under Barrage is going to bite the dust.
And considering that withdrawal was unavailable in that situation, I think it's the best decision Bitey could have made. You're going to die anyway, might as well get some damage off, and that could help Eager turn the tide back in their favor as Abyss are now back in control of the objective. But Haydz has fallen. Could we see a turnaround here? Ancient Rage might make all the difference. And also, if Eevee falls as joshkent just did, it could provide an opening.
Ice Storm off the mark. joshkent falls. Z1 Unknown has the angle on Abyss right now. Double kill. He is looking for more. shadeeyShades credited with the third, 78-78, but Eager in control of the point after that fight. Abyss is going to be hard-pressed to find their way back to the point in time.
That just seemed like a complete lack of situational awareness coming through from Abyss as they did not notice Z1 Unknown in the back line. Overtime is ticking, however. Back on the objective will be Ruckus. This time it's shadeeyShades in the back line. Eager are being forced away, however, but as Team Eager pick up the vital kill on the Kronicx that they needed. They roll through capture and now lead 2-1.
You see the defense was good. Timing is critical here. shadeeyShades on this low ping environment, easily able to pick that one up here. Abyss looking to stall for a little bit longer, a little bit more forward than they did in the previous round. Immediately into Planet, forced to cancel that withdrawal. The tanks are here. Nice peel though from Wi-Fi to keep Bitey alive.
What an incredible shell shield, keeping the damage coming through, and now continuing on that, converting on that Z1 Unknown with yet another double kill. Only one player left alive from Abyss, and the Winter Witch is being hunted by the Hunter's daughter. The disengage almost finds the air shot. shadeeyShades barely missing out on that kill.
16 streak for the Cassie player right now. He's being hunted out, but Cassie so good at kiting around. Needs to be careful here, rolling backwards. Might not be able to find cover in time. Victor is laying down the fire. Bitey is here to body block some shots, but Joelz is able to thread the needle and find shadeeyShades. That's a lot of ultimate charge for shutting down that 16 streak.
You're not kidding there, and with Barrage being so vital in that defensive play, it could be important here, but Z1 Unknown takes them down still. joshkent trying to step up. Now 8 and 8 is their slash line, making the defensive plays. 1 minute left on the clock. It's all about zoning from this point onwards.
Stabilization play coming out from Abyss. This is where they started. We're getting a hole here. We're looking at joshkent now to try and split up Eager, keep these high damaged backliners busy when the frontliners look to go in, split up Eager. That's how they were able to find the win in game number 1 here. They see the flank coming from the left side here, but Eager largely in part staying together.
I love this as well. joshkent blinks in, could wormhole back, but since Makoa is there with Dredge Anchor, elects to stay in position. Just waiting for that cooldown to reset. Still though, as you said, very split up will be Team Eager. They need to reconverge on the objective and push this one through. But as Z1 Unknown and Wi-Fi pick up a couple of kills, and Rux's Hexafire finds no equity. This could be the opportunity to take a 3-1 lead.
No pressure right now on Z1 Unknown. He's just free firing into the back line of Abyss. Something has to be done. Someone has to deal with this. Someone has to get in his face. shadeeyShades going to be on spawn block duty. Damba coming out with the Dread Serpent to crowd control. Joelz able to clean him up on Victor.
10 seconds and falling. We are down to the wire. Overtime will be ticking potentially for Team Eager if they can get somebody to the payload. Wi-Fi is available, but they're stunned down. Out of shell shield immediately shut down, and we are into the EU Conga despite no EU teams being available. A successful defense for Abyss that was very, very close in the end, but it does equalize the score again.
A couple of big key ultimates burned there at the end. Net worth still largely in part in favor of Abyss. Dread Serpent came out at the end, but ultimate advantage still in favor of Abyss. Immortal online, Ice Storm Barrage online. This is a very potent wombo combo we haven't seen yet set up, but this is definitely what I'm looking at. If Eager are going to group up here, the Abyss need to punish.
And if there's anybody that you want to drop this combination on, who are we looking at on the side of Team Eager that Abyss really needs to shut down?
It's tough, right? Because Eager have been very split up in these team fights, so whoever the biggest grouping, it doesn't matter. The most value they can get is the play they want to go for, and on Team Eager they will have the scout available to them, so no surprises in terms of this team fight. They will know where Abyss are approaching from, and joshkent specifically is the big one who is now spotted out as scout has popped.
Towards the objective do advance Abyss and past as well. Z1 Unknown forced completely into their own backline. Ice Storm has been used. Bitey though finds Joelz. This is not looking good for the team in red.
Abyss moving backwards now. Z1 Unknown trying to find the angle here. Alston goes down. Bitey credited with that kill. A lot of damage here. Needs to be careful. Hexafire comes out. Finds another cup, recools down. Haydz trying to get in on Z1 Unknown. He's going to find it. Abyss are winning this team fight.
joshkent picks up 2, retreats from the objective, and is now set up firing through portal, waiting to zone. Catches Ying out, but elects to wormhole back instead of sticking around, and will live to fight another day as Abyss are taking dominant control of this objective.
Go
57%.
Zone. Go zone right now. This is going to be so important. Buying every second matters. 69% and climbing. Now north of 70. joshkent soaring away here. Doesn't want to go down. Wi-Fi is very isolated. This will be a big pickup if they can find it. Kronicx is isolated now on the point, just trying to get that last capture seconds there. 99% overtime here. Eager are put with their backs against the wall.
But it comes down to Z1 Unknown to carry them to victory. Double kill for the Androxus. Gets shut down, but now it's up to shadeeyShades. Dodge roll keeps them mobile, but Haydz will roast them alive.
Haydz
Abyss
on a 5 streak right now.
The capture, and as you were saying.
13 and 8 for this Fernando. joshkent 16 and 8, now on an 11 streak. So joshkent finding his rhythm here, starting to pick Eager apart. force them to split up, key people being kept out of team fights right now. Ice Storm is available once again. A lot of damage onto Z1 Unknown. joshkent soaring in, trying to find something.
And it feels like joshkent has really found that rhythm. I love the defensive
Nice
play
peel.
coming out from Fernando as well. Shielding joshkent, who just goes straight back into the fight, picks up one, picks up a double kill, finds a triple kill, looking for the quadra. Will they pick it? No, Kronicx strips it away. But Team Eager have been wiped off the face of the map, and Abyss are so close to conversion.
Careful, leaving spawn. Has to be Eager here as joshkent is right now forcing the soar cooldown out. Has the ability to blink in. Ice Storm will come out, but a nice dredge anchor forces joshkent into a bad spot.
joshkent is about to fall. Hexafire comes through, but it just doesn't matter because Abyss pushed the payload through. That Ice Storm provided enough zone at the end to prevent Makar from getting onto the objective. Exactly what Abyss were looking for.
Wow, and Eager just looking a little stunned right now. Abyss looking extremely confident from the two faces that you can see on stage right now. The American flag being hung from those privacy dividers, but just incredible space control from Abyss there at the end. They were able to zone out Eager coming out from the point there. Keeping them distracted, I think, was joshkent on the high ground.
And it feels like joshkent at the end made a sacrificial play. They knew that they were so close to conversion, was perfectly happy to give up his life in favor of allowing the payload to roll through. And as we transition to the scoreboard, we can see how effective he was on this EV, really coming into his stride towards the end of this second game.
Absolutely struggled a little bit out of the gate, but got it going at the end. 69,000 damage for the EV, almost top credits for a flanker. That is very good, as the flanker credit bonus is quite hard to leverage. Kronicx getting a lot of damage as well. Joelz getting it done on the Victor as well. A lot of deaths, but the important thing with this Victor pick is oftentimes just to go pedal to the metal when you know you're not getting out of a fight, to just try and get as much damage and maybe bring somebody down with you.
I do have to ask right there, we saw Eager be in such strong control of the early game. What happened towards late game there that just allowed Abyss to slip through and land that conversion towards the end?
Z1 Unknown got forced out of the team fight very early. Early on, in the earlier rounds, Z1 Unknown was getting these angles to Abyss's backline and just free firing, landing all 6 shots of the revolver, and that just can't happen. They cannot allow. We talked about how dangerous this guy is on Androxus, and Abyss, I think, recognizing that, forcing him out, getting the priority people out of Eager's team fight.
And that's exactly what you have to do. You can't allow that free farm damage to come through. And what we're seeing from Abyss, the Oceanic team, which has fought in a region with little competition that can withstand their might, a lot of mid-match adaptation, which is allowing them to adjust to Eager strategies on the fly. It's going to come down to at least one more game in this best of 5 set. Eager, they've got to change something up.
And I mean, we expected, well, we didn't expect, but if there was going to be an upset, it's going to be here. Personally, I wasn't seeing a sweep, and that has the potential to happen here. We're going to head to the map draft for what could be the final time here, as Abyss now leading 2-0. Look to close out Team Eager on Fish Market.
It's going to be an unusual one. Fish Market, not a very popular or common draft at all from any of these teams. It's a little bit strange. It's a little bit strange. See, we don't often see these Enchanted Forest themed maps coming through. We generally see teams preferring the Serpent Beach. We see them preferring maybe some Jaguar Falls, which we have already seen today. Even the ice maps, Fish Market and Timber Mill, not often played. And Fish Market, with its environmental hazards, provides an interesting opportunity and brings a whole new dynamic of play to the game.
Yeah, a lot of high ground surrounding this point, a lot of hazard zone relevant in the payload push zones. And Makoa still he's very highly contested in this series from Eager specifically. Played very well, I think, in combination with the Shaolin. They were getting that crowd control. The CC chaining was beautiful from Eager, but it's going to be interesting to see the drafts here, because this is kind of even different so from game 1 and game 2 in terms of now there's more long lines of sight, but not so many tight quarters around the point on Fish Market. It's more kind of about the high ground control.
Well, you say high ground, but there are only 2 real levels to the Fish Market objective control point. We have the base level where your objective is, and then a ring around the outside. So whilst we have the opportunity for Knessa to get into a vantage point, if picked up, and we know that Abyss has previously run in their online tournaments Knessa on maps like this, she could be very vulnerable to maybe an EV pickup, maybe a Buck pickup as well, who could easily heroic leap from one location to the other and chase them all around the map. And Knessa is important in this regard. If they're not getting headshots, if they're not firing damage, you're fighting 4v5 in a team fight.
Absolutely, and we saw that in game number 1. Knessa came out shadeeyShades on the buck was a little bit hard pressed to find that pressure into the back line, struggling to get there, I think, right at the start, giving just too much time for those guys to free fire. So you're going to have to feel out Abyss a little bit here in the draft. Try and see if Abyss want to go for that long range comp once again here and try and shut it down. Z1Unknown, the flank pressure was a little bit better from him. So if anyone has to fill that role of shutting down Knessas or backliners, I would rather see Z1Unknown do it.
And their Androxus worked out early in game number 2, but not so well in game number 3. At this point, I think you've got to take Eevee away from joshkent.
Yeah, I mean, Z1Unknown, we haven't seen him yet play it yet today, but that is one of his strong. Androxus and Eevee is kind of his 1-2 plus. joshkent just so strong on it. We'll see if Eager can get him on it as we head into the champion draft for what could be the final game here between Team Eager and Abyss. Abyss leading Eager 2-0.
So Abyss with the first pick. Now, we just mentioned that joshkent did so well on Eevee. We've seen Makoa and Fernando prioritize first up, though. Abyss happy to let the Winter Witch go, hover and lock Fernando in, getting their front line online, which has been so effective for Haydz in game number 2.
They love this Fernando. Haydz has been a dominant force on it, knowing exactly, I think, when to. He's shown all of the bases, I think, for Fernando. The defensive shield coming out to keep joshkent safe, knowing when to go aggressive to get in the faces of the backline. Our Team Eager answering back with the Ruckus Makoa combination.
Sticking to all 6 of their guns with the Ruckus pick there. Okay, Team Eager, it didn't work out previously, but on a map like Fish Market, where that repulsor field can very much come into play, not much cover around the objective, it is still a valuable pickup, but this allows Abyss to draft Charlene and Eevee, which worked out so well for them in game 1 on Frozen Guard. It's not a good look for Team Eager. They need some sort of response here to counter out all of the damage coming through.
I almost want to see Team Eager forego the Maldamba here. Cassie being hovered as well. Grover hovered. That's going to be, I think, a better selection here. If Team Eager want to draft these big bodies to fight on the point, Grover going to be that AoE burst healing. And you made a great point yesterday. Grover a little bit better with that burst healing as opposed to the trickle, because they can get behind shields, wait for the cauterize to fall off, and then get the burst healing done. And
that's so important, especially if Ruckus is running cards like nanotechnology in their loadout, which also provide them with additional healing to keep themselves topped up. Abyss, with the Grover off the table, we'll go for a Maldamba, and looking like a Knessa pickup here for the double sniper combination again. It's hovered and it is locked. We're seeing a very near repeat of the first team composition they ran, but is Team Eager going to have a win condition here from Grover, and will we see the buck again is my question.
Grover is a good one to point out here to just try and get some of that area denial on Knessa. He doesn't have to reload, the only champion in the game that functions that way. So if he can just continuously throw these axes at Knessa, she's going to be really, really softened up for Z1Unknown, who I expect to be on the Androxus.
And here we go, the last pick coming through. As you mentioned, the Godslayer themselves, Androxus, the final champion pick coming through for Team Eager. And as we mentioned, it worked out very well early game. In game number 2, it fell off late game, and it appeared to be because Z1Unknown on Androxus was being focused down rather heavily, which brings us to the question of, well, Abyss, who's going to really take the priority pick onto Androxus? How are you going to defend against this flanker getting into the backline this time without some of the picks and draft you had in the last game?
It's going to be relying on them spotting out the Androxus. Z1Unknown getting some pretty devastating flank angles unseen last time. If Knessa can get a shot onto Z1Unknown as he's trying to rotate into the backline, that's going to be a great look, a great way to soften him up. Maldamba could babysit the backline here, looking to stun out Androxus as he makes a play for the backliners, because with that hit scan heal, he'll be able to keep Fernando up. You know, I trust Haydz' positioning to know when he needs to retreat, when he needs to get out of fight. As well, we've shown him seeing some defensive prowess on this Fernando, retreating to keep his backline safe. And that's what they did in game number 1. They were able to just pick Eager apart from a distance and then move in once they were weak.
So Eager have to then adapt to that. They've encountered this sort of lineup before in game 1, and as you mentioned, picked apart from a distance was the storyline for that game. So how does Team Eager adapt on Fish Market then, the third and potentially final map of this series, and how do they play differently to make sure that that doesn't happen again?
You look at Eager's draft and you might say, oh, well, this looks like game number 1's draft. This is over. You know, Abyss are going to take this, but I think they made enough of an adjustment here with the Grover and with the Androxus. Z1Unknown going to be the one taking the flank pressure like we were talking about. We wanted to see that. Grover as well with long range area denial, I think is going to be another good look, a character not often seen, just kind of coming back into the scene here now on this low ping environment. I think these long range projectiles are going to be more effective here.
You see, you're talking all about long range for Team Eager, but for me it's all about up close and personal. I think that Team Eager are going to have to really capitalize off Dredge Anchor in this environment, and instead of just rushing straight onto the objective, they're going to go around the outside and look for immediate picks. They've got to fight as a group this time and not get picked apart, but they can't just sit and take heavy focused fire, so they've got to look for the priority pick onto Abyss. And if you have an opening Dredge Anchor onto any single champion in Abyss's lineup, who are you looking to shut down first?
Shaolin or Canessa planted. Okay. When that comes out, I think we'll see the instant reaction out of Wi-Fi to be able to pick him up. And we talk a lot about the high ground surrounding this point. It's very open, though. There's not a lot of cover on the high ground, and Makoa is going to be easily able to hit those Dredge Anchors should anyone make themselves available.
Do have a surprising amount of range, hook and serve, and also tying nicely into Grover's crippling throw, because if you pull an enemy into the midst of your team fight, Grover will cripple them with their alternate fire. They can't use movement abilities. Nobody can escape that, so pretty much a guaranteed kill onto everybody besides Fernando and Eevee if Team Eager do hit their Dredge Anchors. But that's a lot of weight on Wi-Fi's shoulders if Wi-Fi will be playing Makoa. Game number 1, they missed a lot of really important Dredge Anchors, which helped Abyss just get away with a lot more than they should have done for free. This time, Team Eager, well, the pressure is mounting.
That's right. Bitey's position, I assume he'll be on the Ruckus, is going to be very key this time. A little questionable moves in game 1, but no more further speculation. It's time for game number 3. Make some noise for Abyss with a chance for the upset here against Team Eager. Joelz on Canessa, Haydz back on Fernando, Alston on Maldama, Kronicx on Shaolin, and joshkent back on Eevee.
I feel like the Eevee needs a mustache skin at this point with how well joshkent is playing them, but Team Eager look to make a stand and show some North American pride. Give it up for shadeeyShades on Cassie, Wi-Fi on Makoa, Z1 Unknown playing Ruckus, Awry on Grover, and Bitey taking to the skies as Androxus. Nice 360 mount spin.
Very interesting choice there. 4 Havens coming out from Abyss. 3 cauterizes and a mass strike for Eager to try and get position for those Dredge Anchors.
And on position, though, is going to be Ruckus immediately towards the objective. They're just drawing fire. Round from the backside comes Bitey, comes Makoa as well. 2 kills for the Team Eager very early on, and they're looking for the assassination. Find the kill again is Wi-Fi before they drop to Haydz, but that's equity which was valuable to them. Eager in control of this objective.
Haydz forced to retreat right now. Bitey surging forward, wants to find this kill. joshkent picks up Z1 Unknown. Deep in the back line, timing critical here. shadeeyShades with a rare miss out of Ice Block.
They just can't find the Eevee install, who will be sitting out of combat, regenerating. Does take 2 shots in a row, 3, no, can't find them around the corner. shadeeyShades and joshkent at a bit of an impasse. Flicker going to be used to heal up the Winter Witch here, and Team Eager are going to have to try and chase down this backline nuisance and do so successfully.
Bitey takes out joshkent. Ruckus hot on Kronicx's trail, 19 HP. He is certain to go down here, goes into planet, a couple of shots from Z1 Unknown will take him down. Joelz comes ripping back into the team fight, though, with a pick on the Wi-Fi.
They're finding a lot of shots now onto Awry's Grover as well, but they got to watch out for Bitey coming from the sides. Transporter keeps them safe momentarily. Headhunter is available. If Joelz can get into position, this could be the turnaround play we've been waiting for. Shots come through onto Bitey, so low on HP, but Bitey makes masterful use of cover to stay alive. Headshot cleans up Awry. This is the opening.
shadeeyShades, nice response. The Impaler cancels out any follow-up from that Dredge Anchor. shadeeyShades with 2. There's the Ice Storm here. This could be big from Shaolin.
But still, it's on the objective. Everything is blue. Fernando with their shield up is keeping Shaolin safe. shadeeyShades can't break through. Kronicx picks up 1. Kronicx picks up 2. 99% in favor of Team Eager, but it's all about Abyss. But Bitey comes back in. Can they hold here?
Bitey with a clean shot, but he does fall down to Haydz, so aggressive play might be a bit of a mistake here. 63% in climbing. Team Eager, though, with the favorable capture point progress, sitting at 99%. Big shots onto shadeeyShades in the high ground.
And it's going to be Z1 Unknown to try and make the play onto the objective as Ruckus repulsive field is active. Overtime is ticking. Death awaits you all from the air. Bitey drops the damage, but the objective is still in contention. Back on will be Haydz on this Fernando. Kronicx comes in, finds the double kill as Shaolin looking for the triple kill, but shadeeyShades cleans up joshkent. Awry will take out Kronicx, and that will be Eager taking the first objective of this game 3.
Eager with a nice attempt at the take back there, though. Will go to Eager in the end. Ultimate's coming online now. Z1 Unknown with Hexafire. Awry with the Whirlwind heal available. Big accursed arm from Bitey in that last fight to shut out Joelz. Joelz with the return kill, however, All of Abyss now are here to answer 1-for-1 in this team fight thus far.
Wi-Fi is just diving back on this point, boxing out with Maldamba. Nice auto cancel, takes out the support. Awry a little bit too late on Whirlwind. Grover's ultimate, which might have kept Wi-Fi alive, but still Team Eager are advancing. No support for Abyss, and this leaves them open to all of the damage coming through in the chip poke from Eager's Cassie.
So Awry didn't save anyone there, but all things told, it's not the worst idea to pop your ultimate. At that stage in the round, he's got a minute 30 seconds to get that charge back up. You don't want to sit on it for the whole round, and you know, where you could be winning team fights, just losing them because you're too afraid to pop that. Joelz and joshkent holding strong for Abyss right now. Does spot out the flank from Makoa. I want to see Abyss collapse on that before Eager have a chance to reinforce.
No, we do see the retreat coming through. joshkent blinks in. A nice dredge angle bait onto Joelz with Ancient Rage and Hexafire in tandem as well. The damage coming from Z1 Unknown is massive, but it only finds one kill. But shadeeyShades is here for the cleanup as they pick up 2 in a row. Looking for a third. Immortal by Haydz is not going to last for long enough. 3 in a row for the Hunter's Daughter. And now the double, 4 kills in a row for shadeeyShades on Cassie opens up the path to conversion.
Finds a big win there for Team Eager. 50 seconds remain as well as we are narrowing conversion. Eager with a big chance to go up. Nice combo from shadeeyShades.
And the mobility coming through from Dodge Roll. The incitement cooldown reset is just too good. Haydz eventually does catch up with shadeeyShades and takes them out, but closer and closer to conversion this payload goes. And as joshkent falls as well, it's looking like this could be a real possibility with 30 seconds left on the clock.
Strong hold, though. No one currently on the payload for Eager. Dredge anchor before Haydz. Closer to his spawn. Wi-Fi oftentimes sitting with Bitey in this backline, looking for that bodyguard style of play, but Wi-Fi is extremely low right now. shadeeyShades finds one, but joshkent is going to clean up Bitey. Haydz will find Wi-Fi.
Joelz is just looking for somebody, anybody in this opportunity, in this situation to clean up. Misses the shot onto the airborne Grover coming out of Vine, but still there is nobody from Team Eager contesting. Wait, a second. Yes, there is shadeeyShades. Dodge rolls in, nice. But they're cleaned up by Knessa, the bounty hunter, finding the bounty. Overtime reset though. Wi-Fi comes back in, close to the ground. A cursed arm takes down one. Will it be enough?
Big commitment here from Eager to bring out the accursed arm. Joelz able to answer back, and with no pressure on him, he is going to have no trouble ripping through Team Eager. The big commitment from Eager without the conversion is not a good look. Only Scout available. He did force the Headhunter, however. Dread Serpent's going to be available. So in terms of ultimates, I'm going to give it to Abyss just because Dread Serpent, I feel, is a much better team fight ultimate to control this space.
So much setup available from Maldamba's ultimate, but I've got to ask about that accursed arm. Bitey was looking for an opportunity, looking for multiple kills to push the payload through, didn't find anything, and now that's going to come back to hurt him. How does Team Eager stay composed in this scenario and make sure that they don't make misplays with like that with lack of trigger discipline?
It could have been misplays, but Eager want to get that momentum going early. First round conversions are huge, and like we said, Abyss with only one ultimate of their own, and he did force the Headhunter out as a result of that, so not the biggest loss ever. And Haydz doing a great job using his shield defensively. He ate a Hexafire. He was there for the accursed arm to kind of stop the bleeding at one.
Haydz Fernando is absolutely fantastic, but so is Wi-Fi's Makoa this game. They find a dredge angle onto joshkent, looking for the shutdown. Wi-Fi just around the backline will get taken down as joshkent is on a killing spree, and potential now overextension from Team Eager could leave them at a deficit.
Slow and steady winning the race here. Nice adjustments from Abyss to react to all the flank pressure coming out in the last game. Ruckus versus Eevee, so much mitigation from that Ruckus. He's going to be fine for the time being. Abyss back in control of the point, but Eager did score themselves a nice 45%.
Dismount not coming through from joshkent either, which will not lend itself to Abyss's favor. Dread Serpent onto Wi-Fi though. Makoa again playing hide and seek in the backline is about to fall if Maldamba can chase them down. The headshot damage coming through from Joelz. Knessa is good. Up to the air is Bitey. Joelz is looking for the kill. They find the shot, they find the conversion, and Abyss are still in control. They gain the capture, and now it is in the blue team's favor for this push.
Honestly, Abyss is mid-game adjustments, just doing things correctly, adjusting how they approach team fights has been so phenomenal here. You see the Wrecker with the 2,000 damage shot from Knessa. Headhunter already back online. So much damage coming through for Joelz right now. 11 streak for the sniper, keeping everyone soft and easy to pick off for joshkent.
Wi-Fi is back in the backline again, however, with the bait from Ancient Rage, regenerating to a massive HP pool, trying to wail onto any targets, but Haydz is doing such a good job of playing defensive Fernando. They turn the tables onto the Makoa. Double kill for joshkent, looking for the triple kill, 3 in a row, maybe 4 in a row, as Grover is very low, about to go down, but no, Joelz takes out Awry. 1 minute 35 seconds, over halfway towards the push.
Haydz' Fernando has been godlike, 7-3, the best KD I think on his team right now. joshkent healthy in the backline right now, going to be struggling to find these airborne shots onto Bitey, but Bitey takes to the ground and takes the spawn.
Hexafire is used in response to coming through from Zero, who picks up 1 kill, 2 kills, but joshkent will shut them down, and now Haydz with Immortal is keeping the team alive. They need some zone, and the carries have to be shut down for Team Eager if Haydz wants to stick alive and keep their life in this engagement. Grover about to fall if Kronicx can find the shots, but Bitey has respawned, and he's back with a vengeance.
Haydz falling down. That's the sole frontliner. Dredge anchor onto Kronicx from the side should spell the end of this push from Abyss, but with 50 seconds on the clock and not far to go, they could be looking at a conversion here, taking the lead 3-1. Potentially Scout going to come out and spot everyone from Eager.
But notably, look at Alston. Oh, he just got shut down there on Maldamba, but we're sitting at 96% charge on the Dread Serpent ultimate. If they can get back in time, if Maldamba comes back to the objective and Team Eager don't zone well enough, then we could potentially see that payload push straight through for a 3-1 lead, just off the back of one single ultimate with its fear.
20 seconds remain. Bitey in a bit of a rough spot, poked out to about 60%. joshkent missing the air shot, finds one. Kronicx is there to finish it up, but Z109 finds Haydz on the front line. Haydz didn't wait for his team, and they might be punished for that, falling so low. Kronicx could go big.
Oh, the Impaler arrow straight into Ice Storm leaves Awry in a lot of trouble, who will find to safety. It's overtime on the objective push. Abyss, they have the numbers advantage. Dread Serpent comes out, and they're capitalizing as 2 players fall. Bitey in the air has a cursed arm. They're going to land 1 shot, 2 shot onto Charlene, but they can't find the kill here and will not find value out of that ultimate, whilst Haydz is still at full HP. But Eager, they have the respawns here.
Haydz is back. Joelz coming ripping over the mountaintop here, but Eager are reinforcing themselves. Headhunter is available. Dredge Anchor is going to shut down Joelz. Haydz is all alone.
And double kill for Awry. It is looking like game Grover for this push. Momentarily, Eevee is back contesting, and we know how slippery the Icy Winter Witch is, as well as his tanky Maldamba. But Awry picks up 3 in a row, and that's enough to slow the tide. Team Eager equalize 2-2.
A great job there from Eager to stabilize. That was looking pretty dire. A good job from Abyss. They dove onto the payload a little bit longer than I think I would have expected, but something huge that happened in that last fight. Z109 looking to counter it, I think, here. Picks up the Rejuvenate because the cauterized 3 pressure from joshkent negated Grover ult entirely, and it came out specifically to try and save Z109, but he just died regardless. Those cauterized 3s are absolutely lethal.
But it's only picked up on joshkent, and whilst Eevee does have area damage, joshkent's going to be looking for the single target backline assassination, meaning that, well, Ruckus therefore gains more value from Rejuvenate, an item from the store which increases the amount of healing you take from allies.
Moving out now. All of Eager grouped up on the side here. Abyss adapted well to the flank in the previous round. Wi-Fi is all alone here. There's a dangerous Ancient Rage is available to save, but they are shredding through that 10,000 HP pool with ease.
Woo, Headhunter comes out as well from Joelz, finding shots, as you said. Whirlwind completely mitigated. Awry goes down on Grover in the middle of that. Alston takes down shadeeyShades, and Hexafire 2 was just absolutely silenced. Team Eager, they went in aggressive and were punished heavily for it.
4 for 1 in that exchange. joshkent moving out the zone. I don't think anyone saw the rightmost flank coming out from, I believe Wi-Fi is behind Abyss right now. We'll have to check his positioning in just a moment. We'll find out sooner or later, and there he is!
But the Impaler arrow reactively coming through from Shaolin saves Joel's life, and now the headshots are coming through from Knessa. Bitey, oh, they've got to be careful here. They're way out of position. Reversal saves Bitey momentarily. Will they stay alive? Somehow still no. Shut down at last by joshkent. Abyss, their second capture objective secured in a row, are looking very strong in game 3.
Abyss on set point here. If they find this conversion, they will take the 3-0 sweep over Eager. joshkent already moving out to create space. Want to get this payload as far and as fast as possible. Pop shots coming on to shadeeyShades Cassie right now. One more will do it, but joshkent wisely just electing to back up as the respawn proximity does not favor him.
Poke is valuable. Staying alive is even more valuable, and joshkent recognizing when they can and can't engage is so important on this Eevee, but that was exactly when they wanted to go in. 2 kills picked up. Now chasing down Grover. Has to be careful because of crippling throw, but Blink is now available. Find the double damage shots as well is joshkent. Somebody stop this Eevee. She's ice, but she's also on fire.
Very, very cold is joshkent's play right now. Joelz could go big here. Has a headhunter. Wi-Fi's gonna try and smoke him out. Cancels out the transporter from the dredge anchor. The shield comes out. Immediately there's the accursed arm.
It's coming down from Bitey, but Immortal is used reactively by Haydz. Still manages to find joshkent, and with Eevee off the table, it's a good look for Bitey, but not if they get shut down by Joelz on Knessa. Headhunter now activated. Try and run. The shots come through, but shadeeyShades is too mobile. It's up to Kronicx to turn things around as shadeeyShades fall, and Kronicx goes on a rampage. This could be it. This could be conversion. Wi-Fi must hold, but they're just too low on HP, and now it's up to Bitey as the respawns come through.
Bitey's going to be locked in place, though. That ice storm damage is going to be big. joshkent finding some big shots. Rise is going to be on both of these targets right now. Eager just trying to buy time for their reinforcements.
Repulsive Field will be activated for Ruckus. They are holding strong. Wi-Fi returns the fray as well, and with a nice dredge anchor kill conversion on the Haydz, Team Eager have somehow held still just off the back of Bitey stalling for so long.
But still 30 seconds on the clock. I felt like we were in overtime at that point. As exciting as this is getting, us down to the wire here. Abyss will have time for one more good push at this payload. Nice pop shot from joshkent to soften up Bitey at the start of this fight.
Who's it going to come from? Who's making the opening play? It's going to be Haydz going in as Fernando will use counteractively there to try and stop the damage, but Joelz has shut them down. Kronicx is flanking. This payload push is going to overtime, but Kronicx has the angle but planted, ripping through Magoa. Wi-Fi falls. Joelz gets the triple kill. Grover is nowhere to be found, and Abyss take a 3-0 victory over Team Eager.
Abyss arms up, chanting right now. Big smile on all their faces, and taking a look at Eager. Bitey screaming at his teammates after that loss.
Unbelievable. You said if we were going to see a set upset, it was going to happen here. But I had no idea that it would be so one-sided. We've only seen Abyss perform at LAN once previously in Paladins, and it was very one-sided. We saw 6 to 7 minute games at the qualifiers for the Oceanic region. But still, I didn't think they'd be able to carry through that performance to an established region like North America, which has been competing so long, versus a veteran team like Team Eager.
Abyss, a lot of LAN experience here, not looking shook at all. Eager with none, strong through the online stages here, but now the pressure is on with a loss already in this group. They have a tough road ahead of them. You can look at some of the scoreboards here. Kronicx going absolutely massive. 3 members of Abyss breaking the 100,000 damage mark.
Right, and that just seemed to be what Team Eager were lacking a lot of those fights. They just didn't really have the damage. Where was the Cassie damage coming through? Okay, it's 79,000, but compared to Shaolin, it's lacking significantly, which leads you to believe that, okay, what's going on here? How are they not free to deal all this damage? How are Team Eager letting players like joshkent, Kronicx, and Joelz as well on Knessa go in so free? And it just seems like rather than a lack of pressure onto the side of Abyss, it was Abyss that was just controlling the entire pace of the game.
I mean, we got to give credit to Haydz here on his Fernando play. So many huge defensive shields, mitigating so much damage, 147,000 shielding, and large in part absorbing a lot of that ruckus damage. 42,000 beat out by Grover.
A shield in the face of a Hexafire, and as you said, Grover at the end there did fall, as did Team Eager. Let's cut to our schedule and have a look at how the matches will proceed for the rest of today after that 3-0 set sweep going to Abyss.
So Abyss with the doubleheader here, going to be coming back on stage to face off against Nocturnes Gaming. Nocturnes, the first team to qualify in the international scene. They have had a bit of a rough road in the meantime because, like we mentioned, there was a long time between when they qualified and the actual happening of this tournament. They did scrape out a win in the EV's Winter Classic, but Brazil's competition has really been heating up in Latin America in general.
Right, and as you said, they did scrape out a win for EV's Winter Classic. They're still top of their regions. They're still performing very well in the online environment, and they're going to be looking to transition this through to today. But they're facing Abyss, who looks so strong.
Yeah.
Is that going to have an impact on Nocturnes now? Will they have watched this match, and will they be thinking, oh, we weren't prepared for this coming out of the Australian Oceanic region?
I mean, they've been scrimming each other all week, trying to prepare for each other as best they can because it's the first time all these teams are going to be having to play each other. But LAN experience here is really, I think, the key for Abyss. They are looking absolutely dominant.
It's certainly coming into play. This is the end of set number 1, but do not fear, we have plenty more Paladins coming up. But before we go, if you're watching now on twitch.tv/PaladinsGame, boy, do we have a treat for you. Twitch Prime is our title sponsor for Hi-Rez Expo of 2017, and we now have Twitch linking available for your Hi-Rez accounts on twitch.tv/PaladinsGame. All you have to do to get a chance at winning free in-game loot drops whilst watching the stream, just for watching the stream, you need to visit hirezstudios.com/link and link up your Hi-Rez and your Twitch accounts.
And if you get confused on that, we have a tutorial video playing featuring myself throughout the day to try and help guide you through that process. But we've got some in-game goodies as well. The Hi-Rez Expo 2017 digital loot bag has all sorts of good stuff in there. Hi-Rez Expo theme skin for Fernando, for Victor, 2017 convention Ying's MVP poses, sprays as well. I'm loving the sprays system coming into Paladins.
So there we have it, folks. That's about all we have time for Abyss versus Eager. A lot shorter than I think a lot of people expected today, but Abyss will be back for the second set of the day versus Nocturnes Gaming, coming up next after the break.